Good morning. If you want to see how we turned our squirrel feeder into a bird feeder, stay tuned because that's what we're going to do next. Good morning and welcome to Memphis Monday 292. To tell you the story, we got two problems. First of all, about 10 weeks ago in Memphis Monday 282, we built a squirrel feeder because I thought I had squirrels, and I did. But they were only around for a few days and then they disappeared. Right after I built the squirrel feeder, I never saw any more squirrels. So I've had a squirrel feeder sitting out for 10 weeks with no customers. So I have a squirrel feeder I don't need. The second problem is that I don't really like the bird feeders we built. We were real proud of them. You know, they were collapsible and you could take them apart, and they were kind of unique design. But I think we can do better. And so today we're going to try to build sort of a more conventional bird feeder. So let's knock off the chit chat and get to work. Here's a squirrel feeder we don't need. The reason I even bring it up is because I think we're going to use the base and the connection part down here, and maybe even the roof. We're going to recycle them and turn the rest of it into a bird feeder. Here's the plans I came up with. We reuse this roof and the base and the connection point, and what we'll do is we'll make these triangular side parts here, and it's going to have these sloping sides. You put your bird seed back in there, and then I'll have Lexan in here. Well, I thought I was really clever coming up with this design. But I knew I wasn't clever. This looks almost exactly like my design, except it's got a perch here, and I'm not going to have the perch, but it's got the sloped Lexan, and this has got a hinged top on it. These aren't our plans. I just printed that off the internet because I thought it was interesting that somebody came up with the same plan as I did. It's probably of dubious value, but here's a side view of what this thing's going to look like. We'll have this bottom here. Then they'll have that slot that comes down here to put the post in. This will be solid, and the roof will sit on top of it. And here's the front and back view. This is the Lexan. Okay, looks like I have plenty of Lexan. What I just got to make sure I do is I don't make this thing bigger than, my Lexan here. Well, right now I'm hoping I didn't use any glue on this thing. What I'll do is I'll take this thing apart. I'll take this thing apart and clean it up, and we'll have a clean canvas to work on. I got this base finished here, cleaned up. Problem with it is it's got these gaps in it. I put these gaps in on purpose so the water would drain out of it if any got in there. And the gaps didn't matter for the squirrel feeder because there were, it's mostly corn and stuff in there, so it wouldn't fall through. But we need to put an insert in here to keep the bird seed from falling through. But besides that insert, the two main parts we have to build are the roof assembly, the side assembly, in which we need to put the dados to receive the Lexan. We've already built this part right here, the frame and the thing that connects it to the post. And here I've kind of organized this is the insert we're going to put into the vase. This is the sides. This is exterior plywood. And this is the stock we're going to recycle into the roof. And this is the Lexan. And here's our little insert. It's going to go in here like this. I'm not going to screw this in or attach it in any way. It's just going to be free floating so that any water that gets on this, it'll run off and then go through the cracks. But this thing will keep the birdseed from falling through. So what I'm doing is cutting out that triangular shape using these old frames as a guide. Now my roof in theory is 45 degrees, so I'll make these, I'll make this part here 45. Then this goes at an angle like this. And so the Lexan will be in a dado, runs right along there. Okay, let me cut out these triangles and we'll be on a roll. Now I need a pretty good line along here because I'm going to be running this surface here along my fence when I put the dado for the Lexan in. So I'm using a skill saw to cut this. So I got the down cuts done there. Now we need to cut these 245s. I can cut these on my sliding miter saw. Now in this internet picture here, you can see our next process. We need to put a dado on the inside of this triangular piece to receive the plexiglass. The plexiglass we're using is really thin, so I'm just going to use a saw blade and see how close that comes. And if it's not wide enough, we'll just move the fence over a little bit and do it again. Here you can see that one saw blade is just enough. And what I've done here is I've measured the center of this frame piece and put a little mark here. And I marked the center line of this triangular piece and marked it so that this thing falls directly in the center. Now that's important because the roof is going to sit on top of this thing, and if those two triangular pieces are out of alignment, it won't work. So I'm putting the bolts in. This stuff isn't Lexan. It's something else I had just stuck in my shop. So this may break. And if it breaks, I don't have anything to fall back on. So we'll see. Well, I got the glass in her dados. And what I'm doing now is installing the center cross brace here to keep my sides plumb. Well, here's our bird feeder for Memphis Monday 292. I'm gonna before I spend a lot of time finishing it and all that stuff, I'm going to see if it works. I've got to adjust this glass here so that it has enough it lets out just enough feed. Okay, we'll see how that works. Well, that'll do it for Memphis Monday 292. Today we turned our disused squirrel feeder into a bird feeder. I don't know a whole lot about making bird feeders, and so I didn't even put any finish on it. I figured we'll work with it for a while and get it all correct. But that's all I have. It worked out pretty good. It looks okay. I just hope the birds appreciate all the work. Like, favorite, share, all the stuff doing on the internet. Most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.